Meantime, our Lucas Tomlinson is available to us. Lucas, this has been somewhat telegraphed. We thought there would likely be some kind of kinetic action in the Middle East, and it appears that the Israelis have made the first strike. What can you tell us?
John, U.S. and Israeli forces have launched a surprise daytime attack against Iran, officials confirmed to me. This strike was conducted at about 10 a.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. local time in Iran. What's very unique about this strike is that it was done during the day. Typically, U.S. forces and Israeli forces operate at night. If you remember 8 months ago for Midnight Hammer, those strikes taking place in the middle of the night. Those were, of course, using B-2 stealth bombers. It's notable, John, we talked about this last week, that the thing to watch for with this strike is where are the U.S. Air Force F-22 Raptors, those fifth-generation stealth fighter jets. Those arrived in Israel for the first time. They had been deployed there. They arrived in Israel yesterday with a fleet of tankers. And while it's not confirmed that F-22s were used in this particular strike, it is notable the deployment of that weapon system. We also saw massive evacuations of U.S. embassies, consulates, and U.S. forces throughout the Middle East in the lead up to this attack. Those were the two indicators that, and of course, the breakdown of the negotiations between the United States and the Iranian side that led to this surprise daytime attack.
Yeah, I've been telling people that if there were going to be a U.S. military attack against Iran, and I want to be clear, so far from what we know, this is an Israeli attack. But I suggested that it would happen on a moonless night, and we are not at that moment in the lunar cycle. So yes, when you say this has been a rare and unusual daytime attack, I suppose it maybe gives the Israelis an element of surprise, because, as you say, in the past they have been nighttime attacks, and the Iranians, maybe, they had their forces on lower alert during daytime hours.
There's no question. It's notable, John, that we're in the holy month of Ramadan. It's a month of prayer and fasting for many of the Iranian people. No doubt that it played a role in these strikes. And when you talked about the illumination, John, correct, the optimal time for a U.S. military strike or with the Israeli forces would be a new moon or very little illumination in the sky. But that, officials told me from the start, that was never a showstopper. The U.S. and Israeli forces can operate in all kinds of conditions, and it appears those conditions were set and ripe, and a lot of it had to do with the failed negotiations in Geneva on Thursday. But it's certainly unique, and just to confirm, John, this is a combined U.S. and Israeli strike on Iran, officials say.
And so we're looking live at one column of smoke, significant column of smoke that is rising over Tehran. Do you have any sense the extent of this first strike from the Israelis, and what might we expect to follow on? I mean, I suppose it's quite possible that many of these strikes, or that other strikes, took place in parts of the country, because as the map that we have on our screen shows, there are nuclear facilities scattered all over Iran, and not all of them have cameras trained on them 24 hours a day. In fact, most of them probably do not. So the extent of this strike, I guess, is what I'm asking about.
Well, it's not clear what the targets are now. We are seeing the column of smoke, as you're pointing out on the screen right now, in Tehran, the capital of Iran. Officials said the initial strikes would most likely be targeting command and control radar installations and perhaps some targets associated with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the RGC. Iranian officials have said that the Ayatollah Khamenei is not inside Tehran. We'll wait to see what this initial target set was, John. But officials have told me from the beginning that the initial strikes would be targeting radar installations and command and control. And as you've seen with these, as Trey reported, the sirens throughout Israel, Israel will be bracing, and all U.S. forces in the region, for any kind of Iranian counterattack. But in terms of this initial target set, it's not clear right now, John.
Yeah. We just got confirmation that the U.S. is participating in these attacks. The first word that came across the wire services was that these were Israeli-only attacks, Israeli preemptive attacks against the Iranians. But the U.S., Lucas, we are told, is participating, and that's no great surprise.
No, and officials told me the same thing, John, at the start of this broadcast, that this was a combined U.S. and Israeli strike against Iran. And just going back to that F-22 deployment, never in history have U.S. F-22s been deployed to the state of Israel. And just last weekend, we were saying that 4 days before Operation Midnight Hammer, 8 months ago, those F-22s deployed to the region. They're always the last asset to be deployed. We saw it 8 months ago at Midnight Hammer. The F-22s, along with F-35s, were the first over the beach to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. And it appears perhaps something similar occurred today. But it was to see those F-22s on the ramp along with 14 refueling tankers. Remember, John, we have 100 aerial refueling tankers in the Middle East right now. That's double what we had for Operation Midnight Hammer. And the Israeli forces have always said if they had more tankers, it could extend the range of their fighters. And that's certainly what the U.S. Air Force can bring to this fight. And it appears that's what we're seeing this morning in Iran.
All right, Lucas Tomlinson, our Pentagon correspondent. Lucas, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.